All right, we gotta have a little chat about Arc Raiders and about Battlefield and about gaming right now. I just, as you can see, Arc Raiders is here below me, and I just booted up Arc Raiders for the first time this morning, and I played the little bit of tutorial, which I've seen other creators do, so nothing too surprising there. I did find the game far less clunky than what it looks like it would be from a viewable perspective. Like when you play it, it feels much less clunky than sometimes watching other creators play. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is Battlefield and Arc Raiders and how unfortunate it probably is for Battlefield right now to be releasing at a similar time to a game like this. I am not a fan of extraction shooters. I played Tarkov. I tried Tarkov. It was obviously like a full-time job just to kind of slightly understand that game. And the barrier of entry was just way too high for me to get involved. And I love realistic games, but that was too much. Too much for my brain, too much for how much time I had. I want to reflect back on Battle Royales for a moment. When you think about Battle Royales and you think about where they were, where we are now, how they've evolved, I think back to watching, Lyric play Arma 3 and all of those like really intense moments of being in a top 5 situation, top 10 situation, maybe just one other player, and how the adrenaline kicks in and you're literally trembling watching someone play, let alone actually playing it. And then finally, PUBG came out and kind of polished it up a little bit. And that's kind of when I personally jumped into the Battle Royale games, and I will never forget literally shaking in top 10 situations, and I will never forget what it felt like to get that chicken dinner. Now that Battlefield has released, and that game always felt like this is the one that could fully like polish off the Battle Royale scene, and like the high hopes that it would kind of dethrone what Warzone has felt like for a little while. Then Battlefield came out, and I played the multiplayer a lot. Really enjoyed the multiplayer. It was good, but obviously that arena shooter thing is kind of played out. Spawn die, spawn die, spawn die, right? But I was playing it in preparation for the Battle Royale to drop, and I was very excited for it, thinking that they would find a way to almost reinvent it a little bit, separate it from Warzone, really show Warzone what a real nice, fairly realistic Battle Royale would be. Then it came out, it only had duos, only had squads, which was really disappointing because I like to play solo. And then I played a few games, died pretty quick. I'm bad. You caught me. I tried to kind of slow play it a little bit, even in spite of having a duo partner. I played with a buddy, kind of got stomped, started to get a little bit better at it. And then as I played more and more games, I started to realize that I just felt almost exactly the way I felt playing Warzone. And it kind of immediately shut off for me, just to be honest with you. I don't know. I actually am having much more fun playing Gauntlet than I am the Battle Royale when it comes to RedSec. Gauntlet is a lot of fun. I won my first Gauntlet the other night, and that was actually super satisfying. So I'm not saying there's not a place for Battlefield RedSec, but it is kind of just the same old thing and not something that makes me feel like that category of game is being kind of reinvigorated. Now, with all that being said, booting up Arc Raiders this morning, wow. I wasn't ready. I'm going to be honest with you. I was not ready. I booted up, I got through the tutorial, and the tutorial was, like I said earlier, it was, what I've seen and pretty standard. And then I got into my first raid where all I had to do was find a spot to loot and then loot three boxes. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing all these crazy sounds. I've got the rain coming down. I've got other raiders shooting, trying to figure out if they're friendly or not. And then these various sounds of the, different arc. And I have not done my research, so I don't know what these sounds mean. I don't know what they are supposed to indicate. The only thing I'm aware of going in is that, when the arc are white, they are just patrolling like normal. When they're yellow, they're curious. They sense you're around, and then when they're red, you're basically dead already at this point. Anyway, I was looting. I was trying to get that done. I finally got my third box as I was kind of very carefully trying to evade the various arc and whatnot. I killed a couple of the small ones, and then there was this larger one. Just in the air. It wasn't anything big. It wasn't a boss or anything. I was probably more scared than I needed to be. Um, but it was white, white lights, and then it turned yellow, and I was trying to sort of hide, and there were kind of holes in the building I was in. The little building, it was like a container, and I had no idea if I was successfully hiding from it or not, but it stayed yellow kind of the whole time. And then finally it kind of got further away from me, and my extraction point was closing in like 90 seconds, and I was like, all right, I gotta go. And so I took off, and next thing I know, I've got rockets flying at my face. I mean, it's just, there's laser beams and there's rockets, and I finally had the feeling that I was searching for out of the last probably 4 or 5 years of battle royale games or gaming in general. I managed to get to the extraction point while I'm being targeted, and I'm trying to like roll around and trying to get out. I managed to initialize the elevator, right? Start the, like, request the elevator while I'm still running around this extraction point trying to dodge this gigantic robot that I have no idea what I'm up against. It could be easy, could be terrible, but it felt bad. I'm running around, I'm waiting for this elevator, and I get caught by one of the rockets, and I get downed. But right as I get downed, the doors open to the extraction point, and I was thinking it was over for me. Like, I was just basically waiting to die, and just for the heck of it, I decided I was going to try to extract anyway, even though I was crawling around. And my raider crawled up on the console there, and I was able to actually close the doors and get out. And as it said, like, returning to Speranza, I think that's the right name. I realized I was shaking. I was literally shaking, and I was relieved and felt somehow victorious. And I realized that was exactly what it felt like finally winning that battle royale game. The nerves, the high stakes, the adrenaline, the stress, all of it kind of mattered in a totally different way that I was not expecting to experience. So, with all that being said, Battlefield, I think, is a very good game and has its place. But it feels like it didn't take many risks. It feels like it just really did what it set out to do in a very solid fashion. Arc Raiders, it's a whole other beast. It is fresh, it is new, it somehow eliminates the crazy barrier of entry that something like Tarkov has, while still simultaneously feeling incredibly satisfying. I think that I'm gonna put Battlefield on the shelf for a while, and I'm going to dive into some Arc Raiders. I know that doesn't matter to anyone except for me, but that's just where I'm at. And I'm really curious to see where other people are in this journey. I'm really curious to see if you played your first raid and you had the same feeling as me, or if you played your first raid and you were like, nope, this is dumb. And then you went back to Battlefield. I think that in the same way that Arma 3 and PUBG kind of lit the gaming world on fire for battle royales, I think that Tarkov is almost the Arma 3, almost the PUBG of extraction shooters, and we've evolved now, and this feels like it might be the early Warzone days of extraction shooters coming from Arc Raiders here. So I don't know, that's my thoughts. I wanted to share this video because I was genuinely blown away by what I just experienced in my first raid, and I cannot wait to jump into more and more of this game, because obviously it's only going to get better as I level up and as I discover more. But going into it kind of blind was a blessing, blew me away. Fantastic job.